Hey guys, it's the Deej with my man, Christopher Cruz, who's going to teach us all about the secret to succeeding in sales, whatever position you're in. It's amazing how if you're focused on a few certain aspects of this industry, it's impossible for you not to succeed. Listen in, this is the big one. Cruz.
Yes, sir.
Let me tell you what happens. People always ask, when I say always,
Yeah.
every once in a while.
That's fair enough.
People will ask
That's
me,
basically always.
what do you do? And which is a good question. I think everybody needs to have, a good elevator pitch type of thing. And I think we've nailed it down. So tell me what you think of this.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks for asking, Chris.
Yeah. So what do you do, Dan?
Well, thanks for asking. Here's the basic thing. What we do is if you work with us, you'll get two things. You'll get more customers and more revenue. And the reason why we can do that is we work in the silo of sales. It's just a sales silo. It's just the sales. So if you're looking for lead generation, that's not us. You're looking for marketing, that's not us. That's Liger. But sales, because we're in that silo of sales, we can virtually guarantee you work with us, you'll get more customers and more revenue. Pretty cool, huh?
Pretty cool.
Yeah. So that's it.
So wait, now,
Yes.
next.
Next?
It's right here. Literally right here on the tip of my tongue. You could probably read it. But
Well, you're
I-
not
I
sticking
want-
it out.
Well, so but I want to ask you.
What a wuss.
So what
I
I wanna-
would have stuck my tongue out.
So what I want to ask you is this: is that Dan? So back into role play.
Yes.
Dan, how do you do that?
Oh, good question. It's pretty simple, really. What we do is we'll come into your company and meet you where you are. So we'll take a look at your sales system and process, and we'll optimize it. So, because very, very few companies get 100% of efficiency out of their process that they have right now. So with the profit, sometimes 50 to 100%, we can increase efficiency there and profits. And once we get those profits, then we take that money and we move towards other strategies that can exponentially grow your business.
Wow, that's great.
Make sense?
Yes. So now out of role play, I have to tell you, that's fantastic.
Fantastic.
Clear. It's concise. So why don't most companies or sales people figure that out? Why don't they take the time to say, this is what the company does, and really refine, that 8 to 10 second, pitch on what value proposition does your company potentially bring for the organizations that they serve? Like, why doesn't everybody do that?
Well, because they're human. I mean, unless they're lawyers. But most people you're going to meet,
Right.
are human. And, just as a basic thing, you have all these great plans, and then you get a customer, and so now you're working on the customer. Or you have all these great plans, and then something goes awry, and then you've thrown your business plan on the wall. A good elevator pitch or a good 2-minute pitch or one that really encapsulates what your client is looking for could take hours, weeks, months to develop. And you're constantly tweaking and you're constantly changing once you get out into the... Listen, it's not you that develops it. It's your customer. It's your prospect that develops it. You get to the point... I was coaching somebody on their message just recently, and I said, tell me what you can do for your customers right now, their biggest problems, without using the word I, without using the word we. And it's nearly impossible. Well, we do this. Well, we do that. Well, I do this. Well, I do that. It's nearly impossible to do it unless you're looking at the problems that the customer is having. The reason why most people invite us in is working with their companies is they're facing one of three issues. You're frustrated that you're not getting new sales, you're anxious that last month maybe be your best and the future your pipeline is small. You're challenged with having high turnover with employees and especially salespeople that are non-producing, and you really can't make a mistake of hiring another lackluster salesperson. Am I pretty close to the truth? And so I'm talking about the problems rather than saying what we can do, but implicitly with talking about those issues, I've told them what we do. We fix those things.
Right. I love what you said just a minutes ago, which is you're constantly working on, your elevator pitch. You're testing it in the market every day.
Well, the market is, if I can interrupt just for a second, the market is telling me. Because once you say, are you interested in blah, and they say no, you have to have your backup. This is great. I totally understand. I'm not selling anymore, by the way, but let me ask you this. In terms of getting new customers, what's been successful for you in the past? And depending on how that conversation goes, they will say, as a client said yesterday, they'll say, I'll tell you our biggest problem. And the next thing that comes out of their mouth, is my next selling point.
Yep.
That's
right.
Because they will tell you. People will tell you. The biggest problem, I was talking to someone yesterday, and I said, how are things going? He was a friend. How are things going? Oh, things are going great. Well, let me ask you, and I'm not selling anything. I just want to know what you're doing. What's working with you really well that you're getting new clients right now? First thing out of his mouth. Well, I'll tell you what our biggest problem is.
There we go.
The biggest problem is we have a lot of good clients that we dealt with in the past at a certain price, and now we've literally tripled our prices. And so I'm having a hard time convincing them to re-up with us at this new price structure. That's their problem.
No.
Hey, the people that work with us are basically people who are having trouble getting the most value for their product. They want to up their prices, and their customers aren't enjoying it at this point.
That's great.
And I didn't say anything about me.
Right.
But we work with people that have that problem.
That's great.
And so, we're supposed to be talking about the sales silo, but that's all part of the sales world. It's not marketing. It's not lead generation as much as when you're in the trenches, that actual negotiation of how to get into that call. That's the world that there's lots of little tweaks. There's lots of little small changes that can have huge results. Even calling back most people don't even call back their old clients. They were happy with them. We did a great job. And then they're lost on the scrap heap with all the others.
That's right.
Every once in a while they'll get a marketing letter, which treats them like a stranger when they're not. They're more than that.
Yeah.
They could be an advocate if they were used properly, and that's a sale in itself too.
That gets me thinking about the BAT triangle. As you're talking about, the silo of sales and the things that you do and the behaviors that you have, right? And I know you know it. I don't know if our listeners know what the BAT triangle stands for: behaviors, attitude, and technique, right? And so if you can imagine this triangle and at each corner, right, at each point on the triangle, the attitude is at the top, right, of the triangle. The technique is to the bottom right, and then the behavior is to the bottom left. And so that's kind of how it works, BAT, right, as you're reading up and across and around. So there's a reason why the attitude is at the top. We talked about this in one of our podcasts, is that your attitude has to be right every single day. And attitude for organizations drive culture and drives success for certain sales reps as they're getting ready for their day, and as they're either coming into an office or just trying to be prepared for what's going to happen next. The attitude is really the most important component. And if that's the reason why it's at the top of the triangle, is because that's the piece that you have the ability to control. Every single part of the BAT triangle you have the ability to control, but that's the one that you can decide, right? Today's going to be like my father used to say, you can decide today's going to be a good day or today's going to be a bad day. And whatever you decide, I guarantee you it's going to come true. Mm-hmm. Right? So he just chose to wake up every day and say, today's going to be a good day. Right? And so that maybe is where it starts, but it's all about attitude. And so then the other components to that are technique, which you're talking about, making sure that your technique is right as you're testing your message in the marketplace. Is it getting the result that you're looking for? And if you are getting the result that you're looking for, are you in some way debriefing after every call? What sounded good on that call? What did I do well? Why was it impactful? Why did I have a successful call? And are you really managing your technique and really understanding how you're utilizing that, right? And then the behavior. Are you doing it consistently, right? How many calls do you make a day, Dan? Or how many calls do you try to make every single day? Cold calls.
Cold dials.
Cold dials.
Yeah, 70.
70.
Yeah, that's my goal. Now, I don't do that every day, but more importantly, that I try to have 10 strong conversations a day with strangers.
So 65 to 70 calls yields you about 8 to 10 strong conversations every day.
Yes, and it's easier now for me. I have a lot of connections on LinkedIn. I have a lot of people that I can go to with that. So it's a lot easier now. But I do cold calling to complete strangers who are not qualified, and I know they're not, for fun, just to tweak and practice.
So let's just say for argument's sake that our listeners are half as good as Dan Jourdan.
Yeah,
okay.
And by the way, I should say I am not the best salesman in the world. I told this to you. You're much better than me. My specialty is hunting, is prospecting. That's what I like. Mm-hmm. That's for me. That's where the fun is.
Right.
And actually, I'm coming up with a new slogan. What do you think of this? You guys could test it on. What do you think? Ready? So this is it. Work with us. Ready? Get more customers, earn more money, have more fun. Boom.
That's it.
Get more customers, earn more money, have more fun. So the fun for me is making a friend out of a stranger.
Fair.
And so I do that. So it's not for, and that turns into customers. That turns into opportunities. Mm-hmm. But that's not the goal.
Right. But let's just say, like I said before, let's just say that our listeners, our audience, the sales people in the audience are half as good at prospecting as you are. Mm. So they would need to make 65 to 70 dials a day to have 4 meaningful conversations.
Yeah.
Okay. So why aren't they doing it? Because I guarantee you there are people that are listening right now saying, there's no way I can make 65 to 70 cold dials.
Yes, and then, so I would say to them, don't. You pick your own number. I mean this sincerely. I don't mean this flippantly. I think it's much more, I think consistency is more important than skill. And I would much rather you make 10 dials a day, every day, than do 100 one day and then take off for a week and a half.
Got it.
You just want to get that consistency out there. And if you could take 10 dials a day and have one meaningful conversation and you get good at that, then maybe that would encourage you to do more, or maybe that would encourage you to start something else. But it's consistency. It's attitude. It's behavior. It's technique. All those things are more important than skills.
Right. And so thank you for bringing it back to that, because I am a huge proponent of behavior. I think that a salesperson's behavior drives production. And I think that production then drives sales. Mm-hmm. That's it. I mean, it's not a difficult equation. You have to be willing to do the work, though, because there are just a lot of people out there that are. I mean, it's like back in the '80s, the guy at the Velvet, the Velvet Room, the Velvet Tango Room, hanging out with his sales buddies, and he's having a drink, and he's smoking his cigarette, and he's saying, "Yeah, I'm in sales. It's a tough racket." And the guy doesn't pick up a call. He doesn't pick up the phone to make an organic, to try to drive business organically. Yeah, it's a tough racket. Yeah. And the phone itself feels like an 800-pound gorilla. There's no way he's going to pick it up. He's terrified he's terrified to be rejected. He's terrified to be, to be hung up on, or for somebody to say no to him.
The biggest fear I've noticed when people first start getting on the phone, and I think that the phone is still, and for the foreseeable future, your best weapon.
How dare you say that?
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of that. But the fear that people have, I think, being hung up on, or someone being rude to them, all that, I think that fear is
the fear of rejection.
Fear of rejection is dwarfed by the fear that the person will actually answer. I mean, when they call. Yeah.
Tell me what you mean by that.
I mean, that's it. When they're hoping for a voicemail. They're hoping not to be able to get through. And so that's what they manifest for themselves. If you really wanted to talk to the person on the other end of the line, that president or CEO of a company, you would leave a killer, compelling message. Mr. Jones, this is Dan Jourdan. You may or may not know me, but I have something that's going to help you and your company earn a lot of money and get more respect in the marketplace. This is for your ears only. Call me back, 678-910-9912. 678-910-9912.
There we go.
You would do what you, if you really wanted, here. Let's say, do you have a dog? You don't have a dog.
No, but I had one growing up.
Okay. What was the dog's name?
Susie Q.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They used to have Hostess cupcakes.
That's right. No, great song, Susie Q.
Oh, yeah? How does it go?
No. Go ahead.
What a wuss. That's your second wuss.
No, I'm not doing
today. One with the tongue.
I'm not doing it.
So, did you love Susie Q?
Of course.
Okay. So here's the thing.
She was half poodle, half collie. So she was like this big. Yeah. And she was like that long.
Right. How long did you have her?
She was 13 years.
13 years.
Yeah.
13 years. Yeah. And when did she die? How old were you?
Thanks for bringing that. You want me to cry right here?
How old were you? Okay. So
I was 9.
9.
Okay. 9, because my sister was 1. Well, wait. No, I was 10.
Okay. 10.
My sister's 3
years old. So here's the scenario. Mm-hmm. I stole your dog when you were 8.
Okay.
I took the dog and I put him in a burlap sack. Mm-hmm. And I took I had a crane. Mm-hmm. And I had this crane hanging over like the pier of the ocean. Right. And I was hanging the dog down in the burlap sack over the ocean, crashing waves, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And you had a day to get a hold of the president of Xerox Corporation.
Okay.
Or I was going to drop the dog into the ocean.
Right.
You'd probably figure out a way to get a hold of the president of Xerox Corporation.
Or I'd figure out a way to rent a boat.
Yeah, you see, that's it. People always try to.
No,
that's what people do. You see,
I know.
They try
because the pain for me to try to figure out how to get to the president of Xerox is bigger than the pain of me having to shell out money to rent a boat.
There's no option for that. Okay, that's not an option.
Okay, but you see,
either the dog's dead or you got a hold of the president. But
then,
the point
then I would do everything I could.
You'd figure out a way.
And
you have to decide whether or not your career, your family, your personal life is as important to you as the life of Susie Q.
That's right.
And you would do that. You would find a compelling thing if you wanted. So when I say that you don't want to answer the phone, it's because they don't think that their product or is worth it, or they don't think that they are themselves worth it, which comes to your attitude on the front end.
But I really, here's the thing, Dan. I know it was kind of a joke, like I'm trying to figure out a different way, right?
Mm-hmm.
To fix the puzzle
Mm-hmm.
that you presented. But it really is interesting how even some seasoned sales reps, okay, will deflect that. They will think about, okay, how can I, instead of getting that job done, instead of actually figuring out a way, they're still trying to look for the path of least resistance.
Yeah, I mean, that's what criminals do.
Right.
I mean, it's so they spend, you devise this, intricate, exceedingly difficult, coercive plan and manipulation to get. If you just use that to get your customers, you'll be fine.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
to steal something instead, just be fine. It's the same thing.
Right.
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 It's exciting. So listen, again, it starts with your attitude. And your behaviors will follow that. And then as far as the technique goes, learn as you go.
Right. And document, have a process, continually try to improve upon that and put in the work, the work ethic that it's gonna take to be successful.
It's hard, but it takes work ethic to be successful in anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's anything. There's people at the top of every field.
Right.
Right. And those people before they were at the top weren't at the top. they were
somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, they were somewhere else, and they did it.
Right.
They're rocking and rolling. And if in your head right now you're thinking, well, what was their in, or how did they? Certainly they were helped along the way by someone. Get a new job. You're not right for sales. I mean, as soon as you, I mean, it's just
summer's coming, and there's going to be plenty of lifeguard positions available.
Yeah. I mean, the answer to all your problems in sales is get a new customer. I mean, the answer to all your problems in your small business, get a new customer. The answer to your problems as a manager or a mid-level manager or anything is bring them a new customer. Mm-hmm. You want to show value? Let's say you're a mid-level manager, okay, and you want to, what do I need to do? Who do I need to know? What politics do I need to do in order to move up the ladder? Why don't you bring them a customer?
Yeah. Right.
Right. Just keep doing that. Be known as the guy or the gal that's bringing new business into the company.
That's it.
You'll get promoted.
That's great. That's great. Thank you, Dan, for that today. Thank you so much.
That's what I'm here for.
Good stuff. Good stuff.